we're back, you guys.
Yes, we're back.
Welcome. I'm Candace Kita. I'm your host here at Sway TV. And look who's with us today. Who is this guy?
Doug Jeffrey, fit over 50, or as I like to call it, fit over 50.
Doug Jeffrey.
Happy Friday, guys.
Fit over 50. Happy Friday, you guys. And you know what? We have an amazing guest today. So you guys, please leave us a question, a comment, a suggestion. You know, talk to him. You guys ask him any questions.
Ask him questions
that you have for him. He's an amazing comedian, and we are coming to you live. From sunny Los Angeles on Friday at 7:20 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. So you guys engage us. We're going to introduce you to our awesome guest right now. He is a comedian. You've seen him in movies, film, television, stand-up. He's got his own special right here on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome, Mark Sipka.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Aaron says, hey, what's up?
What's up, Aaron?
So as you can see, we are live, so Mark can talk to you. So if you have any questions you want to ask him, please do.
Yes.
So Mark, tell us about your amazing career. We've seen you on so many things here on Amazon. But like, how did you get started? You're not, we were just talking, you're not from here originally.
Yeah, I'm originally from Michigan. And so I grew up in a really small town, and, you know, there was like less than 10,000 people right in the middle of Michigan in a town called Alma. And the youngest of three brothers. And so I just grew up sort of like watching what they did and being like, oh, I'm not doing this. Oh, I'll try that, you know. And in our small town, there was no comedy clubs. There was like local community theater and things like that. But I had always been the funny kid, you know, like growing up. I still remember some of my first introductions into comedy, like Steve Urkel on Family Matters.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever remember all those Ernest movies. Do you remember Ernest?
Yeah, we love Ernest.
We
actually, yeah.
I grew up, those guys were my heroes. And then I saw Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. We watched a bunch of movies as a family. And I remember, I'm the youngest of my entire family. And I remember being at my grandparents' house for like a giant family gathering and we were watching like a Jim Carrey movie, Robin Williams movie, and I was laughing hard. All my cousins, my brothers, my parents, all the way up to my grandparents. And I was like, oh, there's something to this. You know, if we can all be watching the same thing and laughing this hard, there's something special here. But I still never thought like, whoa, that's a job. I want to do that someday. I always was in sports, so I thought, oh, I'm going to be a professional football player. And I genuinely thought I was going to do this until I realized, nobody in my family is breaking 6 feet. I've never had a growth spurt. It's not happening. And I was always just that funny guy on the team making people laugh. And I think I got sort of different, you know, green lights along the way, different signs that like, okay, hey, this is what you should be doing. Later in high school, my last couple of years, I enrolled in the drama program and started diving into improv and had a really great teacher, Elizabeth Campbell. And she's still my favorite teacher to this day because, yeah, she taught us improv, speeches. Those were my first plays. And I still remember the day she sat me down and just went, I think you could really do this. And that was the first time someone that she wasn't my friend. She wasn't my family. She had no reason to say this unless she really meant it. And that was such a turning point for me to go, I've always made people laugh, but what could I do with it? And even though I had all these heroes, I never had put the two together and thought that's something I could do for a career. So I think in high school was when I really started to pursue it and go, okay, I'm going to go into acting and comedy. And LA is going to be where I end up. I sort of had that plan before I even went into college.
Wow, that's
wow.
That's really amazing, and just the fact that you said the green light. You know, you wanted to go into sports, and you're like, well, no, but you know, and how those movies really influenced you. I think that's really fascinating. And we were talking before how difficult doing stand-up really is.
We have some great chat. We have welcome to Sway TV, Mark. We have welcome, Mark Sipka. We have welcome, Mark. I am watching from Ireland.
Whoa, that's what I like to
We have people from
hear.
all over
That's
the
awesome.
world that are watching
Yeah.
you right now. So what does that teacher think now? The one that said,
Yeah.
I think that you could do this. Is she so shocked? You have your own special right here on
I know.
Amazon Prime.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
really
you so
amazing,
much.
and not that long.
Thank you. My teacher, Mrs. Campbell, I still around the holidays, she's had me come back and get to talk to her class. I get to go back into my old school, do improv with her class, answer any questions that they have. And I've run into her several times. Like I said, it's a small town, and each time I just say so many thanks to her, because
Aw.
those were my foundations. So I still get to use those. And I thought it was so neat that in a tiny town of ours where I knew everybody in my graduating class. I had a graduating class of like 120 people. I could name all of them, and it's so neat that in that town she's putting in all that effort for me and for those students today. So it's fun to be able to go back and say thank you to her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really about giving back. What was the quote that I shared with you the other day?
You can't you can go home. No, it's different than never leaving.
Yeah.
You get to come home.
So going back and being able to share and give back and inspire other people like yourself, just to that you can do this. I can make a living out of this, which is so amazing.
So how did you get from the small town to the biggest pond for fish in the entertainment industry? How did you get to Hollywood?
Man, I'll tell you what, this big fish pond, it was a good journey. I went to a school called Anderson University, which was in Indiana, and I started working on one of the improv teams, and then I started a sketch comedy group called Business Casual with a couple of friends that I lived in the same dorm hall as. And so we started creating live sketches, and we also created our own videos. We started in the coffee shop of the school, and we ended up in the main auditorium by our senior year. And it was so much fun to take this adventure into creating videos and sketches and improvising with the crowd and creating all these original characters, reoccurring characters. And that was my first deep dive into, hey, nobody's asking you to make this, but make it on your own. There's no rules. There's nobody here to tell you what to do. And we had so much fun doing that, growing an audience. And while I was there, I started going to comedy clubs with my buddies and going to open mics and, going in there. And I still remember the first time I went up and did stand-up at this club. I think I took one breath and for 3 straight minutes, just pretty much gave them a speech of jokes, right? Like, if they were laughing, I wasn't giving them any time. It's so funny how different stand-up is, and because it's just you, right? With improv, you have teammates to bounce off of.
Yeah.
So if something's not working, hey, let's get to a new scene, new character. Let's start something new. Stand-up, it's like, hey, that didn't work. On to the next one.
Well, let me ask you a question, because everybody, so you use your own personal life experience. Like, what is your formula?
That's a really good question, because isn't that a lot? And we're going to be showing them shortly. Isn't that a lot about what your special is about, Mark?
Yes, that's what a lot of my special is. It's all based on true stories, and so that's what I started with. I started with a set of 3 minutes, and every joke was about my dad. I still think my dad's the funniest person alive, and there was so many stories that I just had about him that I had told different friends and I had sort of incorporated before, but I had never put it into a stand-up format. So I went up and tried it on stage, and some of them really worked well. I think it was just all that first delivery, trying to get it out the first time.
Yeah. What does your dad think of all of it?
My dad really enjoys it. My dad.
That's great, though. He's gonna be so proud of you too.
Oh, he's the best. He's so funny, and he's one of the stars of the special because.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's really cool. Kudos.
Just cracks me up.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. So we have another good morning to you from Albert. Mark says good morning. So we have so many people here. Yeah, he said good morning. There's so many people here in the chat. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, please leave it to us because he is live right now. Now, don't you, we can actually show everybody now.
Yeah, I would love to. Can we see the
So,
clip?
yeah, so we don't have to go. We have
excited.
the actual show. This is Mark Sipka, my special family special. You guys can rent this right here on Amazon. This is a perfect thing for you guys to see this weekend, right? If you want to binge watch Amazon.
Yeah.
So you can rent it here in high definition. You can also purchase it here in high def. Now, a mutual friend of ours told me that you actually roast your family members out of the audience. Explain this.
Yeah.
Yes. So my family, I feel like our love language is roasting each other. Every time
That's
we
great.
get
Love
together,
language, yeah.
it's just okay, who's gonna say something dumb? Who's gonna do something dumb? And then every time we get together, we're gonna remind them, hey, remember that time you said the dumbest thing in the world? And a lot of times it's me, but we definitely pass it around. And when I was diving into stand-up out here, I was sort of trying to find what's my voice, what's my, what's going to be my angle. When I was out here, I'm like, who cares what an early to mid 20s something kid out of college has to say about anything? I don't care. And I didn't know what my original voice was going to be until years ago. My parents were just out here visiting, and I was hosting a show in Hollywood, and I got up there, didn't plan on doing stand-up, didn't have some like written out set, but my parents were in the audience. I told some jokes and I just told stories about what we had been doing and funny things that they had said while we were out here. And people were just loving it. And after the show, an audience member comes up to me and goes, I could listen to you do stand-up about your family all day. And I went, oh, could you? And I went,
wow,
there's something here. Because each time I noticed when I told a personal story about my family, people seem to really love it, right? And I thought, this is so neat. I'm telling a specific story about what's happened to my family, but it's relating to people who, don't even know me. So I started to generate a bunch of stories. My mom even kept like a journal of funny family stories. I used some of hers. I wrote down as much stuff as I could about each family member. And I just went, I've got to do something with this. So I booked the theater, the camera crew, everything. And I wrote out a set about each one of my family members that are true stories. Some of them will deny the truth in all of them, but I promise that those are the facts, at least as I remember them. And I roasted my 2 older brothers, my sister-in-law, my mom, and my dad. And I put them all on a couch on stage right next to me. My brothers could have punched me from where they were sitting.
That is so clever.
And they were such great sports. Like before the show, my oldest brother, Phil, came up to me backstage and just goes, hey, don't hold back tonight. And I went,
wow.
Game on.
Yeah. And it felt good as like the younger brother to go, all right, this is for every noogie. This is for every time you pinned me down and tried to, do the creepy brother drool and above the head.
I actually remember that. That's funny.
Like, why is it that every brother does that they have the sickest, weirdest, most twisted ideas, but they all think alike? And
yeah.
So it was my way of getting back to him, but also sort of showing everybody like, hey, I think these people are hilarious. I love these people. And they are my favorite people to talk about and joke about. And it was so much fun. It was such a fun mix of this theater filled with, such a supportive Los Angeles audience, filled with friends, people I've met, people I've acted with, done stand-up with, and then these people from thousands of miles away in the Midwest, that I have known since birth, sitting right here, and just getting to see those worlds collide was, I mean, that was my favorite performance, favorite project I've ever done by far.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
amazing.
awesome. Sammy says hello to you.
Hi, Sammy.
So he says hi, and then Aaron, this is awesome. Thank you, Aaron,
definitely
so
gonna
much.
Watch it too,
he goes, he's on Prime Video. I'm definitely going to watch it. Thank you so much, Aaron. And like you said, we do have Mark Sipka right here, right now, live. If you guys want to ask him any questions, this is what I'm showing you. My special family special. It's here on Amazon. You can rent it in high definition.
Sweet Revenge.
And you can also,
so
you can
funny.
also purchase it here on Amazon. It stars him, Mark Sipka. And I'm looking, it's got 5-star reviews, you guys. It's got 5-star reviews right here on Amazon. Those reviews don't lie. And we see people, I'm looking, I know you said you brought your family up on a couch. What we're seeing now is a bunch of people laughing hysterically. Didn't you put them in the audience and then you brought them up? Are those the people that we're seeing in the audience? Is that your family?
That's my family right there.
Oh, wait, we got to go back. Hold on a second.
I
was wondering. So let's look, you guys. So when
up?
you see it right now, that the people that you're seeing on this picture right here, are those your two brothers and your sister?
Those are my two brothers. That's my sister-in-law, and that's my mom and dad.
Oh my goodness! There's the mom and dad over here. I see the two brothers. Tell us,
so cool.
What is one of the funniest stories? Can you give us like a little sneak peek about roasting your family on your special family special?
Oh man, some of my favorites by far. There was my middle brother Steve. He and I are 6 years apart. Phil and I, the oldest brother, were 10 years apart. So
wow, there's a big gap.
That's a big gap, actually.
Big gap. So each of us were in different schools at different times, right? We all were completely different stages of life. And Steve was the one that I fought the most with. He was such a jerk to me. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to have a paper route, and I saved up a bunch of my money, and I bought fish. I bought a bunch of goldfish and put them all in this tank.
Aww.
And I was so excited to be able to feed the fish and all of that.
What did he do to you? Oh my God.
And Steve goes, you know what I want to get? A betta fish. A big red betta fish. And I'm like, Steve, aren't those the fish that like to fight fish? Like that's their name, like fighting fish? And he's like, don't worry about it, bro. It'll be good. This dude, he buys a betta fish, which are usually in their own tanks for a reason, puts it in my tank. Next morning, I go to feed all my fish, and they're all floating at the top of the tank.
Oh my God, that's evil. That's true evil.
And he's like, oh, my bad, bro. And he was just the absolute worst. And I remember Steve, like at an early age, just sort of like clocked out of life. He's like, not going to class, not in a hurry, not getting a job. Like he was just being a lazy bum right from like high school to like we call it the dark decade of Steve. And his betta fish, one morning, my mom was going down to his room to like put some laundry in there. And she finds this crusty little thing on the carpet. And it was Steve's betta fish. His betta fish had jumped out of its own tank and killed itself. And I was like, I told my sister-in-law, Elise, I was just like, whatever you do, don't jump out of the tank, because that fish chose death over living with my brother.
That's a great story.
Oh my God. Do you have a funny story about like your mom or your dad? Those are the ones that like kill me.
Oh my gosh. My mom is the sweetest. We always made fun of her because she really was. She was that angel. Always was like the most inviting person. My friends loved coming over because she would always have like fresh brownies and cookies for all the kids. Like heartwarming, wonderful, welcoming person. Until telemarketers would call. You know, she would just snap. You know, as nice as she could be equally evil. And it was landline days, pre-caller ID. Every time that phone rang, we were all taking a gamble about who's going to be on the other side.
Much like it is today with cell phones with all that stuff too.
Yeah, you get spam calls all day.
Yeah.
And what I always loved doing was they always timed it out, right? They knew when you were having dinner. They knew when the Sipka family was sitting down to eat, and they would always call my mom. I knew it was them because they would mispronounce Sipka a million different ways. And I think that these telemarketers were like placing bets, like no one's going to land Chris Sipka. No one's going to sell to this lady. Let's give it a shot. Let's try and sell our best. And they would call, and she would be like, nobody answer it. And it'd be like, I'll get it. And I'd pick up the phone. I'd be like, hello. And they'd go, hi, is Chris Siskapak there? And I'm like, oh yeah, she's here. And I'd hand her the phone, and she'd be like, hello. And then as soon as she heard of the telemarketer, she'd look at me and be like, oh. And then she'd start saying, no, we're not interested. No, please, my family, we're sitting down to eat. No, I don't. But it's.
Listen, if you want to call me at my dinner, I promise you, I will call you at yours. I will destroy you. I am making dinner for my family.
So, who wants some chocolate cake?
That is great, Mark. I love the voice too. You have a great range with your voice too. It seems like you can do all those different voices too.
Can you do your dad? Is there a funny story? He said so much of your stand-up routine revolved around your father.
Oh my gosh, my dad. He has so many. I definitely would say I think he steals the show. I think my mom is the angel of the show. The brothers are definitely like the Stooges, but Dad's sort of the hero of the show because so many of the stories do tie back to him. I do have a segment where I read all of his he has terrible pickup lines.
Oh, no!
No, come on, we gotta hear it. We gotta hear these.
Do you have some?
Yeah.
He has so many lines, and this is their dynamic. Dad is the weirdo, like the goofball who worships the ground my mother walks on. And her line is just always like, no, Tim, no. She's just always is rejecting him and putting him down. So I call them a comedy duo. But I still remember he has one where this is one of his pickup lines. I was back home for the holidays. We were going to go pick up some groceries at the grocery store. And Mom goes, oh, you can find it at the produce department. My dad goes, produce department? I'd like to take you to the reproduce department.
Oh
my God.
No.
It's so bad. Like, these are the things he throws out to her, and he's always singing songs to her.
Oh man, that's so sweet. That's beautiful, though.
We love him. My dad also he used to create these trophies for my brothers and I because we weren't winning real sports trophies, but he would create what I call opinion trophies.
Oh, that's a cool dad, man. That's a cool dad.
It is really cool looking back, but it was so funny seeing on our mantle like hardest working running back, like most exciting.
Man, that's
pitcher.
so cool.
It was like they were totally opinions, and I mean, yeah, it's such a sweet thing that he would do, but we were not a family of athletes. I still laugh at my dad. He played in like a church league basketball game, and I remember he was dribbling the ball up the court by himself. He trips, falls down, the ball bounces off of his head and goes out of bounds. I've never seen a player play offense and defense poorly at the same time. Accomplished it.
Oh
my gosh. Do you have a tidbit about your sister-in-law? Because we can see her in this photo right here. Let me show you guys one more time what we are talking about. You've got to rent it this week on Amazon Prime.
Five stars. Mark is an amazing guy, just funny, and just a wonderful person. So I'm definitely going to watch this now. you talking about your family. I'm so curious now. I love these stories.
I know. We're going to rent it. Mark Sipka, My Special Family Special. It's here available on Amazon Prime. You can rent it here in high definition. You can also purchase it here in high definition. Mark is here right now, you guys, live. And Diego says hello to you. And
What's up, Diego?
we are just talking about his family. So I see your sister-in-law there. Do you have a funny roasting story? You guys, he roasts his family live in this special. Tell us a sister-in-law story.
My sister-in-law, she is awesome. I have loved having her here. It's about time my mom had some company. She's been surrounded by these smelly, loud, awful men her whole life.
She's got backup now. She got help.
She's got backup. She's got support. I'm so glad she got a partner in crime and all this. My sister-in-law, we make fun of her because she used to be a cheerleader back in the day, and her school's mascot was a Sherman tank from the war. So it wasn't like, hey, go Tigers, Sherman tanks. And they had a gigantic Army tank parked outside of their school, and their school was Ohio, and it was a high school called Uniota. So they were the Uniota Sherman tanks. And my brothers and I, whenever we get together with her, we like to come up with like fake cheers that we think that she might do as a cheerleader for the Uniota Sherman tanks. So we pretended to be like the tank. We were like, we are Uniota. We are the Sherman tanks.
Oh my God.
He's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
We thought, maybe one of them plays the cannonball and she's like, load me up. And they like pick her up and throw her into the crowd.
Oh my gosh. So now wait, how many family members do you have that you actually roast on your special, My Special Family Special?
So I roast my brother Phil, Steve, my sister-in-law Elise, my mom, and my dad. So the five of them all get roasted, and my brothers my brothers and my dad get the harshest. The Elise and my mom, as they deserve, they do get roasted, but it's sweeter roasts, I'll say. My brothers, they just, I really didn't hold back on them. My dad, I think, gave me the most material, but the brothers are the ones you're like, oh, you guys are gonna get it.
Well, here's a question. So when you go back for holidays and all special occasions, when you go back, I mean, you're constantly getting new material, right? Are they still feeding your creative
That's a good
genius?
question.
Do they still, or do they hold back now because they know what you're gonna do?
I think they could try their hardest, but when we're together, there's just something. I think it's because when you're with family, sometimes you sort of hit that off switch, right? You're not trying, you're not overthinking
anything.
It's the
catalyst that just...
You're bound to do something stupid, right? So I think what's been so funny is since then, each of them, like their spouses have seen, different people in the community now know these stories that were always sort of, our own family stories. We weren't trying to keep them secret, but the mailman probably shouldn't know the things that my dad says to my mom.
No.
Wanting something. So that's been really funny to see, just the reactions ever since. And yeah, I mean, I think my family couldn't help but say and do dumb things when we're around each other.
Wait a minute, you just said, what does your dad say to your mom when he wants something? Just out of idle curiosity.
He will literally, well, okay, this is talking about actual snacks. Okay, this is actual food. He would always go, do you want to have a snack? Which means he wants to have a snack. He'll say, now this is when he wants a little something more. He'll go, do you want to come upstairs and watch me change? My mom's answer is always no. This was a fun line when this wasn't him wanting anything but attention. Whenever it's at a restaurant or checking out at like a grocery store or anything, he feels the need to sort of try his stand-up bits, in front of strangers.
Oh
I remember
no.
we were at We were at an Olive Garden when I was a kid. Whole family's there. My mom is sitting next to Dad. The waitress comes in. She goes, "Hey, would you like to try any of the wines?" My dad points to my mom and goes, "None for her. She's a raging alcoholic." The waitress like didn't know if he was serious or not. They just took it away.
And your mom just wants to slide under a table and go, "Oh, he's up to it again."
Yes, I think my mom, if there's any image I have of her, it's her just sort of slapping him right here. Just this is their constant motion. I'm sure that's her strong arm. I'm just smacking him all the time.
Oh my gosh. Kelly, thank you so much for following. Kelly us. Just followed us. Diego, thank you so much for following. And like I said, we're talking to Mark Sipka. He's talking about his special family special, which is available right here on Amazon.
Gotta check it out.
Gotta check it out. Now, on this special, you're a stand-up and you're roasting people. You also do sketch and improv. Do you consider yourself more of a sketch improv person or a stand-up guy?
Man, I definitely... I think for me, I've always been drawn to character comedy. So like
really
my influences and my joy and the stuff I love watching and doing the most is like original characters. So that's where I would say probably sketch comedy is my favorite. But I love when I can combine all three of those worlds: the sketch, the improv, and the stand-up. So I started doing stand-up as different original characters. Like I mentioned before, who cares about what some college kid in the Midwest has to say about anything? So I would dress up and do stand-up as an old man. I did one as like a really nervous, awkward marriage counselor who had never been on a date before. And I just felt more comfortable being these other people. And through being these other people, I felt like I could even be more honest about my thoughts and sort of have a more unfiltered routine. And since now I do stand up as me, but I also will go and do it in different characters. So I have this character named Tad, whose favorite movie is The Wizard of Oz. Any movie that's not The Wizard of Oz, he hates it. So I go out as Tad. I profess my love for The Wizard of Oz. I'm totally a nerd about it. I know all the history, all of that stuff.
Can you give us a little bit of that character?
Yeah. So I come out as Tad and I go, I'll see if I have my glasses here. No, I don't have. Well, here, let me see. We'll really be dedicated. Okay, so The Wizard of Oz is the greatest cinematic masterpiece known to mankind. The 1939 Victor Fleming classic with a runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes of pure cinematic bliss will not be touched. In any movie that you suggest that's superior to the Wizard of Oz simply is untrue. And so I'll do Tad as this confident nerd. Nobody ever gets to see the nerd be the bully, essentially. And what I do is I profess my love for the Wizard of Oz, and then at the end I go, and for all of you who are doubting the power of the woo of the Wizard of Oz, I'd like to open up the floor, let you know this is not a safe space. Your views will not be respected by me, but I'm going to allow us to run a little town hall where you can debate me and suggest movies that you find to be superior to The Wizard of Oz. Go ahead. And then I let the audience throw out different movie titles, and I'm telling you, it is so much fun because I get to play my character. Anything I say feels like there are no rules. The audience gets to have some power too. They get to influence what I do and say, and so there's their participation. And then I get to improvise on the spot. So it's like doing things like that. I started doing that with my characters in my business casual sketch group in college, where I would just play a character. I'd have a few things prepared, but I'd go out into that crowd and it would be like, this person's real, right? Like, you put on a pair of sunglasses, a wig, a different outfit, and it's so much fun to see everybody else sort of buy into it with you. And it's so much fun to see everybody sort of be kids again, right? Like we don't get to see that very much. And I love sort of taking them into a different world, creating this character that isn't real, but we can all laugh at and just play around with. And I think that's probably one of my favorite things to do as a performer, is just be the character, go out there and sort of let the audience decide where this goes.
Yeah, that's
and what's
amazing.
going to happen.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so, I mean, just you're so unique within who you are. You bring your own personal experiences, which I think that's what it's about. So for people out there that are watching that, you know, have that dream of pursuing, I want to do that. What would you say to them? This platform is all about sharing, about giving back. So what would you say to someone that might be thinking about, hey, I'm gonna follow Mark. I'm gonna follow what Mark did. What would you say to somebody like that?
I'd say because it can be so easy to not even know where to start, or you could be in the middle of your journey, whatever point you are in that journey, whether you're just deciding maybe this is what I want to do. You have to do it. You don't get anything out of planning for perfection and being like, when I'm ready, no, you won't be until you jump out. Was I ready to do stand up? I had told jokes. I had made people laugh a bunch of times in a bunch of different ways, but you get up there and it's sort of expected. It's not going to go well, but like, go back up, keep going. You don't have to do it if you constantly dread it, whatever it is, but you really won't know until you do it. And I told this to a friend of mine who, she was really hesitant about her music. She's a great singer, great songwriter. I loved her stuff, seen her perform a bunch, but she was so hesitant about creating this album and contacting this person to record it. And I just said, you have a gift that a bunch of people wish they had. Who doesn't want to sing? Who doesn't want to be able to play guitar, write their own music? And it is selfish of you to hide those gifts, because you might be somebody's next favorite artist, but you're not even giving them a chance to do it. You might be serving up someone's new favorite menu item, but you're not even willing to put it up there in fear that it won't be liked. But you're not even giving people a chance to decide for themselves. So for anybody out there who's got ideas, or they do feel like they have what it takes, you need to share it, because to not would be a waste. And there are thousands and thousands of people who would kill just to get to have those ideas, those talents. So don't waste them. Don't hide them. If somebody gives you a gift, what do? You unwrap it. You don't go, thanks a lot. I'll let this collect dust in the corner and forget about it. You don't do it because it's disrespectful. So use it. Don't waste it. Don't sit around. Don't let those ideas and talents collect dust.
Yeah, well said.
I think one of your gifts that I can hear right now is you really have a gift of voice. Like, you have so many different voices. How many different voices do you think that you've created with characters? And what would you suggest to people who want to do that? Are there voice classes or character development classes? What would you suggest to people that are out there in the audience that are just starting?
I think, for me, I don't know the number, but I definitely remember very early on, after a lot of Ernest and Urkel, my dad sitting me down and going, Mark, I just want to know what your real voice sounds like. And this is like him talking to an elementary school student. I very quickly was an observer. I was the youngest one. I was just sort of observing my family, observing different comedians and actors, and whatever song came on the radio, I didn't know how to sing it as me. I only knew how to sing it as that person. So I would
That's interesting.
always be sort of like, I started with, imitating, right? Before creating those original characters. So I just dove in head first, and I was doing those voices without thinking. So we still have it in the basement, just this trunk of costumes that I would pull as a kid, and you put on that hat, and it's sort of like whenever I'm coming up with a new voice or character, sometimes it starts with wardrobe. Tad,
I feel it.
That was a Wizard of Oz sweatshirt at Goodwill.
Wow.
And I had that sweatshirt for years. One day I pull it out of the suitcase and I go, Wizard of Oz? And I'm like, there's something here. You put on a pair of pants. What kind of guy wears these pants? What kind of person wears these glasses?
Yeah.
Sometimes that can influence it. Sometimes you can take an impression of somebody and that can turn into an original character. I think the voices are so much fun to do, and oftentimes that's what I start with. Like as a kid, whose voice did I hear the most? My mom. So a lot of times in my stand-up, I'll incorporate her voice, and it was fun back in the day for prank phone calling my friends and them thinking it was a girl at school. That's for anybody who's wanting to get into those voices, I would say start by imitating what you hear. Like in third grade, my biggest hero was Steve Urkel. And I remember my teacher, Mrs. Massonary, was real strict, tough woman. And she was trying to teach the class. And I kept on being like, did I do that? Being a total nerd. And I remember she grabbed me by the ear. It was the good old days. Dragged me out into the hallway and goes, Sipka, listen up. And this was a combination of coffee and smoker's breath. So I remember this vividly. She goes, this is my show. You're a funny kid, but you got to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And it was such a good lesson for me because I think I only had an on switch. But I think I'll always love playing characters. I've always gravitated towards them. Whenever you think of like a famous SNL sketch or a certain movie, you go, oh, it's that Chippendale sketch with Chris Farley. It's the
we just started watching that. I mean, and Chris Farley also, a lot of his characters came from his father also.
Yes.
So
that's right.
It's so funny.
We just saw that. Gina says hello, Doug, Candace, and Mark.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning. And you guys that are just joining in, like Gina, let me show you again. You guys have got to see this this weekend. We're going to watch it for sure.
Yes, most definitely.
This is Mark Sipka, my special family special. Mark is right there for you guys live. Now you can rent this here on Amazon Prime for the weekend. It's a great thing you should watch this weekend. And also you can get it on high definition right here on Amazon Prime. For those who have just joined in, because we see some new people, can you tell us a real quick encapsulation of what your special family special is about?
So my special family special, I'm the youngest brother of my whole family, and I am getting revenge on my family for the years of torment, especially for my brothers, by roasting my family in front of an audience with them on stage. No mercy, no rules. I get the mic, they don't. And it is so much fun. It's something you can watch any age. Your whole family can watch it. I love seeing people watching it with their family.
Yeah, and so many people can relate.
So many people have sent me messages being like, "Oh, my dad does that. I thought it was just me," or like, "My brothers also did that." It's so cool to hear that this small family from Michigan can relate to so many people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what else? What else do you have coming up? What are you working on? What's next for you?
So for me, I still love creating my own videos and doing a lot of my own characters. So on my YouTube channel, which is just called Mark Sipka, I create weekly videos. And I love doing, original characters, funny songs, impressions. And so I put together those videos every week. I work and create a lot of videos for TikTok. And so
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of like short stuff on there if anybody ever wants to watch. And so a lot of my week is dedicated towards creating those videos, especially during this time where live shows are sort of rare. Some
Yeah.
of them are coming back outdoors, but most of my comedic efforts have all been creating those original videos and just getting to I love making those because there's sort of like a timeline of your thoughts and ideas, and you can look back and
Yeah,
go,
you can go back. That's so cool.
like, oh man, I've been doing this impression for 10 years, or like, oh man, it's so cool to see the evolution of this character. And it's fun because people can find your work now, and then they can sort of go back and enjoy stuff that you did so long ago. That's what I love about YouTube videos.
Yeah, and you love. I mean, it's such a passion. You love what you're doing, so that's just who you are. I mean, it's so wonderful.
Do you encourage other actors, especially in this climate, to focus on creating their own content and building their own brand?
I definitely think so. I would always say start it because you want to. I think what's so hard as an actor or comedian is you see the million apps and you see the million options and you're like, I should be doing that. They're doing that. I should be doing that. And I'd say pick the thing that you really feel called to and just nail that. So for me, creating videos isn't something I feel like I should be doing. I really want to, and I really do love it. And it takes a lot of time and effort, but I'd say I love doing it because am I going to just wait around for the phone to ring or an email to come in that says, Mark, dream roles here. I'm Mr. Big Time Hollywood Industry, and we want you to have the opportunity and all the money in the world. And no, the dream for me would be to turn a character like Tad or one of my original characters, turn that into my own Ernest movie, to turn that into my own movie where the character is the star or that's my own series, right? And how am I going to ever communicate that other than showing people right now?
Yeah.
Get what's on my brain out there, and it shows people who I really am and how I really think. Whereas acting auditions, you have no clue what's coming your way. And the chances of it being the right fit for you are such a gamble that if you were to just wait, not create anything, then your resume is going to be pretty empty.
Yeah, well said.
As what's so hard is with acting and with stand-up, you're not doing it every day. So there are days where you're like, am I even a real actor? I didn't act today. But if you say, now I'm taking some of that power and control back, I'm going to make a video today. I'm going to make a short film. I'm going to shoot a web series with my friends. You acted today. And not only did you act, but you showcased your strengths that you determined instead of crossing your fingers that the perfect role comes to you.
Yeah, and you're working. You're working on your craft every single day. So just like anything, you keep doing it, you get better at it. So when that opportunity does arise, you're sharp. Everything's firing. You're ready to go.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy to go. There's been so many times where I'm like, this video is not even that good, and that'll be the most popular video. And there are so many times where I'm like, I put in so much effort, and this is a genius idea. The world is gonna thank me for this, and then it's just crickets, right? Trying to guess what people will love, don't even try. Like, don't even do it for that.
Yeah.
Like, of course, what I want to do most with my comedy is I'm not the comedian who's gonna like get super real and edgy and dark and all that. I'm like, that's other guys do that and they're so much better at it. I want to be the comedian that sort of goes, hey, you probably drove an hour in traffic. You probably had a terrible time at work today. I'm assuming you had the worst day ever. But while you're here at my stand-up show, or while you're here watching my special, or while you're here enjoying videos on my channel, this is our own world. Unlike Tad, this is a safe space where we get to dictate the rules. And I sort of like to do like clock out comedy, where I want to help people forget all the hard stuff that's going on. And I want to make you feel good. It's the Patch Adams method, right? Like I want you to feel better after one of my shows or videos than you did beforehand.
So that's awesome. Actually, you had told me earlier you had so many influences in regards to your comedy, how you developed your comedy, comedians that you looked up to when you were developing your comedic skills. This is one. So I thought we'd take a look at some of these, and I want you to tell me why you thought this particular comedian was so influential in your career. What we're looking at is 4 film favorites from Jim Carrey. We've got Dumb and Dumber, The Majestic, The Mask, and Yes Man. You can get these all here available on Amazon on DVD. So tell us how Jim Carrey influenced you.
Jim was that guy for me that felt like he wasn't born here. Jim feels like, not just from Canada, he feels like he's from outer space.
Yeah.
And he felt, I saw this guy and I went, oh, you don't ever have to grow up. You don't have to. And it was so much fun seeing this guy transform. And I went, that's what I want to do. Like my dream isn't to play really grounded and realistic characters or anything like that. I want to transform into some of these. So like, I think for him, I just loved seeing him from his teenage years go from doing impressions really well. That was his thing, impressions, to creating these iconic original characters that were so physical and so fast, and seeing how he used improv. It was just so terrific. And, his lines are still so quotable today. And I just love how he almost, it seemed like fearlessly attacked a stage or attacked a role, and how he could just light up a whole set where people just went, man, that came out of your brain? What?
Wasn't he Fire Marshal Bob?
Fire Marshal Bill.
Hysterical.
We have
right?
Yeah.
We have an awesome comment. Thank you, Aaron, so much. He says, I've been watching this from the beginning, and I love this interview so far. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
We're loving it too, actually. Thank you for being here, Mark. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and show everybody what we've been discussing here too, because you guys, if you love this interview, if you really are enjoying Mark Sikpa, he's been so kind to donate his time this morning to us. We got him up super early. It's 8:11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here live in Los Angeles today. So take a look at this. This is a great weekend. We're going to watch it this weekend.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, this is Mark Sikpa, my special family special. This is available on Amazon Prime. It's an Amazon Prime video. So you can rent it here in high definition, and you can also purchase it here in high definition. And Mark sits here, and believe it or not, he roasts his family. So you guys, there's new people in the chat. Can you just tell us a little bit about why they should watch my special family special this weekend?
So, look, I know I'm no household name. Nobody's going and Googling, where's the new Mark Sikpa special? But I will tell you, this was such a fun experience for me to make, and a lot of people have had fun watching it. If you want a special that you can watch with anybody, this is it. You can watch it with your family. You can watch it with your friends. It's one that's all original stories and roasts. If you have always dreamed of roasting your family, get some inspiration by watching me do it. They still love me afterwards. I can't guarantee that those results will be for everybody, but you can just enjoy me making fun of my mom, dad, sister-in-law, both my older brothers. This is especially dedicated to all those little brothers and sisters out there who want to get their brothers and sisters back for making fun of them. Hey, save up those jokes and stories, and one day you can make your own special where you roast them for all to see.
That actually brings up a good point. How do you get a Amazon special, an Amazon Prime Video special? How did you go about the process of doing that? I went through so originally I just knew I gotta make this thing. Amazon wasn't even necessarily the goal. It was sort of like a bonus. I went through, I put in all this effort of creating this thing, and as the edit is finished and I'm getting feedback and all of that, it was like,
this deserves more than just a post on a random website or like a clip here and there. This thing needs to be big. And I reached out to different companies trying to find distribution. And when I reached out to Amazon, it was like, here you go. Like, this is what we do. I saw other specials and I was like, I don't know who that person is. I don't know who this person is. I think that this is a place where you could have a special. And this was, when I created this was sort of right when it seemed like a special was coming out every week, right? Like everybody had a stand-up special on every streaming platform. But I saw Amazon and I submitted it and it was accepted. And I just went, this is awesome. Now, unlike my YouTube channel or Instagram or any of these places where people have to know me in order to find me, it's so neat that somebody could be like just looking for something else. They could be looking through comedy movies. They could be looking for a good TV show to watch and they can go, what's this? And they can stumble upon me and they can just sort of be like, this is the first place where strangers could watch my stuff without even looking for it.
Absolutely. That is so crazy. And, we were talking also about, and we actually love this comedian, and I'm going to show another one of your influences as far as your comedy is concerned. Now, we love this comedian. Tell us, why do you like so much Tommy Boy with Chris Farley, David Spade? You can get this right here on Amazon. It's available on Prime Video, so you guys can watch it this weekend, Blu-ray, and you can also get it here on DVD. So tell us about Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy is another one where I would say my brothers had a big influence. Like this just reminds me of them. Just getting to watch this movie as a kid was so much fun. Watching Farley and David Spade, just such a great pairing. How huge Farley was, his personality just exploded through the screen. And I think this was the first time I had seen him before watching SNL. And once I saw this guy just attack every scene, and he just seemed like, he seemed like a big kid. I think that's the ongoing theme is I love these guys that never grow up. They never feel the need to. These guys weren't trying to fit in. They didn't belong, and watching Farley go through every scene, like where he's trying to be a car salesman. He's not cut out to be this car salesman. And you're watching him, take 7 years of college. He's like, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. And David Spade goes, yeah, they're called doctors.
Yeah.
Watching these guys work together, it was so much fun, and that movie still holds up as one of my favorites just because it's so simple. It's these two idiots are on this road trip trying to sell car parts. Farley has no business doing so, and David Spade is like his grown-up babysitter. And I still love it to this day. I think there's something about those 90s comedies. The plot was one sentence long, and the story was seemed purely on the comedians that starred in it, their abilities.
Yeah, their personalities, just how they interacted.
Well, here's another.
It's like they let them go.
Yeah. Here's another one that I think was in the 90s. You guys let me know if you guys know this movie or know any of the other movies we're talking about, what you think of them. This is Three Amigos. This is a DVD. It stars Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short. Now you can get this you can rent it on Prime Video this weekend, along with Tommy Boy. Blu-ray, you can get it on DVD, multi-format. So I haven't seen Three Amigos. I know that sounds crazy. What is this movie about, and why did it influence your career so much?
Candace, you have to see this. I'm telling you, these three guys, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Chevy Chase, when you're getting to watch three lead actors like this, a lot of times when they put a bunch of like lead big actors together, sometimes it doesn't work out, but these guys are a perfect team. And so these guys they're Hollywood actors that are in Westerns. They're the Three Amigos, and they're in a bunch of like silent films. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. Meanwhile, in this small town in Mexico, there are real cowboys that are terrorizing this small town, and they're stealing from these people, and they're just awful. They're bullies, right? And some of the people in this town go into this movie theater and they see a black and white Three Amigos movie, and they send them a message, a telegram saying like, Amigos, we need you to come help. You know, we need you to come stop the infamous El Guapo, who's like the big villain. And they send them the message. The Amigos get this message in Hollywood. They think that they're going to Mexico to shoot this film with this famous actor. They have no clue that it's real people. And so what's so fun is these idiots go back there. They have like flashy Hollywood wardrobe. They're wearing costumes, and they've never shot real guns. They have fake shiny guns. And there's such a great scene where the Amigos are circling a real evil villain in Mexico. They're circling him and they're shooting their guns out in the air. And one of the villain's goons shoots Steve Martin in the chest, and Steve falls down and he goes, "Oh, great, real bullets." And he's got blood coming out of his chest. And they sort of have that moment where they realize, like, it's real. These guys are going to kill us. And then they all start crying, and it's so much fun. My God. It's also like got some great musical numbers in it. Randy Newman, he's one that wrote it, and they've got this great song. My favorite number. They're in this like saloon, and they sing this song called "My Little Buttercup," and it's like from one of their movies, and they're just dancing around all of these guys in this bar and playing the piano. And I used to pause it and rewind it over and over again on the VCR as a kid and try to memorize their whole dance routine. It was, I'm telling you, you guys check that out. Add that to your weekend plans.
Yeah. It's so funny. Gina goes, OMG, I love the Three Amigos. It's like an explosion of funny with them all together. And then Albert says, what? Candace, put that on your list. El Guapo 1. And then Gina says, the music is the best. My Little Buttercup has the sweetest smile.
Yes, it's so funny. They're singing this like Broadway musical number around all of these like evil dudes who have like gotten in bar fights. Everybody's dirty, and I'm telling you, it's
funny visual.
It's so funny.
Have you seen it?
I think a long time ago. I do remember parts of the what you were describing. So it's just funny.
And Gina says that's the song. It is literally hilarious, the song. So I guess that's something we need to watch too this weekend. Here's another one, and once again, you guys are going to kill me. But this is one that Mark recommends, and it also influenced his career. This is Clifford, starring Martin Short, Charles Grodin, and Mary Steenburgen. You can get this on DVD here on Amazon. I don't even know what this is about, but I love Charles Grodin, and Heaven Can Wait.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Charles Grodin and Martin Short. I'm telling you, this is one of those movies that most people, I want you to know, you're totally forgiven, Candace. Most people that I bring this up to are like, what are you talking about?
Never heard of it.
Martin Short jokes about it a lot in his routine that he does with Steve Martin. They both did sort of a stand-up tour together, and there's a special that they have out. It's great. But Clifford is this strange movie that Martin Short made where he plays a 10-year-old boy, Charles Grodin's nephew. It's definitely a dark comedy, but Martin Short walks around in this like schoolboy outfit, and he's so tiny in real life. It's not like they had to pull any camera tricks to pull this off. And Charles Grodin, I'll tell you what, if you thought he was angry at the giant dog Beethoven, he is so angry at Martin Short throughout this movie because Martin Short's going to like visit his uncle Martin, who is Charles Grodin, and Martin Short is just a maniac. He eats chocolate all day. All he wants to do is go to Dinosaur Land. He's just this demented kid. And Charles Grodin, if you love Grodin, that means you love Charles Grodin getting angry. And he's one of the best people at getting angry. And I think it's a weird one. I tell you what, sandwich it. Watch my special family special, then throw in some Clifford, then hit it with some Three Amigos.
That's a good binge watching session.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys in the chat, have you seen Clifford? Because Mark was saying that it is kind of obscure, so I don't feel so bad that it's not in my repertoire. Here's one that you guys might have seen, and Mark recommends this one too. I've heard of it. Once again, boy, I haven't seen it. How embarrassing. This is Grumpy Old Men. This is the Grumpy Old Men collection. So you've got Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men.
That's kind of me, actually.
Dying.
Yeah.
He is the Grumpy Old Man. Now you can get this on DVD right here on Amazon. This has Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Tell us about this.
So this is one totally makes me. This is a grandpa classic of mine where I remember going to my grandpa and grandma. They had, whenever we visited, they had one of those gigantic wooden TV consoles that opened up, and there was like rows of VHS tapes. It was like a library. And Grumpy Old Men is one of the classics. And Grumpier Old Men, we would watch both of those. And it's starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and then Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith is a legend. He played, he was like, I think maybe the original Joker in the Batman.
I know, was he the Penguin? He was the Penguin.
He was the Penguin.
The Penguin. Yes. He was the Penguin, and he was Mick in Rocky. He was the trainer. And he has some great lines in it. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are from The Odd Couple, and they're such a great team. They are grumpy old men. They're next door neighbors. Yeah. They hate each other. Walter Matthau is so funny. Jack Lemmon and him are always pulling pranks on each other. There's a great scene where Jack Lemmon gets so mad at Walter Matthau, and Walter Matthau is a total slob, and his car is a mess. And Jack Lemmon throws a fish in the back of Walter Matthau's car and covers it up with some newspaper. And Walter
that's
Matthau
horrible. That's the smell you can never get out, actually.
You can never get out.
Yeah.
Walter Matthau gets in there, and only in a Matthau way, he's like, "Phew, what's that smell?" And he gets the fish out there. He's like, "Gustafson!" And they just fight. They go ice fishing. They're always yelling, and they're both fighting over this new cute neighbor that moved in, played by Anne Margaret, across the street. So they're both trying to take her on dates, and they're so dumb, and it is so funny. And I just think when I saw that, I went, oh, I can't wait to be an old man. Like, they just so much fun. When I was a little kid, I just went, these guys, that's where it's at. Can't wait to be 80.
Yeah.
80 is cool.
But it's so funny with certain like comedy duos, Martin and Lewis, and all the
Abbott Costello.
The great thing. It's almost like personality and personality. It's like a chemical. There is a catalyst that happens that just is it just works.
Yes, I always think it works when each person is a really big fan of the other person.
Wow.
Right? Like,
yeah.
There's because that's full trust, right? Just like being on an improv team, the best ones are the ones where each member thinks the other one is so funny enough to trust them with all the power. Just, I'm ready to shift the power to you and to you. That's like what it was like watching, a year or two ago at the Greek. I went and saw Steve Martin and Martin Short. Both of these guys love each other and trust each other so much that they can roast each other with no mercy. And it's so fun to watch, right? Like Spade and Farley, they love each other. Yeah. They were like brothers. So you can't help but feel that as an audience member. They're not faking it. And so I love seeing duos like that, and Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are no exception. They work together so many times. And as an audience member, it's like you're a fly on the wall just watching two friends play.
They're just having fun.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. They're just enjoying each other, and people watching are enjoying them, enjoying each other.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that Lewis and Martin too, because I knew that Lewis was a big fan of Martin when they first got together. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. Here's another one that you had recommended to us, and I love it's Zucker and Zucker, right? Isn't it the Zucker brothers? This is Naked Gun. We have the one that we're showing is Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, and of course Leslie Nielsen. Talk about Leslie Nielsen because he had a career way ahead of time as a serious leading man.
Yes, this guy is one of my heroes for sure because, I watched a great documentary about him because there was a lot I didn't know. I knew him as the Airplane and the Naked Gun guy, but yeah, his dream was so different than the outcome. And I think the outcome was so much better than his dream, which was just to be a dramatic actor, which he got to do a lot. And it's so funny seeing him because his approach never changed. He was always Leslie Nielsen, straight-faced, to the point, serious. And that's exactly why he got cast in Airplane. Airplane was a take on all those disaster movies back in the 70s. And they hired a bunch of real dramatic actors, including Leslie Nielsen. He performs his scenes exactly how he did in dramas. And it makes it so funny. And I don't think anybody had seen somebody take that approach before, to the point where he pretty much, by doing that, created the rest of his career, which was unlike anybody else's. He created his own type of movie pretty much.
It's a genre. That type is a
it's
genre.
It's like a deadpan humor where the humor is in the script and the actors as characters are unaware that it's funny.
Yes. And he was in an interview, stating pretty much that what he wanted so badly and envisioned for himself was so different than what he got, but what he got was so much better in that he got to be the star of these movies that made people laugh. And, if he had held on to his old dreams and held on to those old goals and just said, no, I don't do comedy. That's not my thing. We would have all missed out, and he would have missed out on such a great career, especially so late in life. We only know Leslie Nielsen with white hair, and as an actor and comedian, man, that would be really hard. That would be really hard he was working, but that would be really hard to wait until such a burst in your career happened. But for him, those last years of his career, that last decade or so, man, he was just on top of it and so funny. And those are movies that I remember my grandpa just crying, laughing at. And that's still, we watch those movies as a family and we just enjoy them so much. And when I went back and watched them again after not having seen them for a year or two, those movies don't take a break from telling jokes. Almost every line of every scene is a joke, and it's so impressive. You can't blink, you can't get up from the TV because you will miss jokes. Even their credits, if you watch, there are completely fake credits and fake jobs.
They go in, I know.
It's so creative.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
And it really does define the times with how comedy
comedy
evolves for that period of time. So it really does mark the
because I don't know if younger people would actually get that. I hope they get that kind of type of comedy, but it certainly does change and kind of like a transmogrify through the decades.
Yeah.
We have two more that we wanted to show everybody that you recommended. The next one I'm going to show everybody here is you're going to kill me. Okay, everybody, you guys, have you seen this? And Mark's going to kill me. I've never seen it. It's John Hughes. I know that. And it's got 7,363 5 stars.
5 stars. Funny.
So I know it's good. I'm embarrassed, but it's Uncle Buck. You guys can rent it here in High Definition this weekend. You can actually buy it here at Amazon Prime too. Tell us about this. I know everybody loves this movie.
So you got to add all of these to your list.
Seriously?
I really think so. John Candy is the star of this movie. It's so terrific. John Candy plays this, lazy bum from Chicago that he plays that uncle. Everybody knows that uncle, right? Where it's like, how is this guy still alive? What is he doing? He doesn't take good care of himself. His apartment's a mess. His car is terrible. He has this awful car that you have no clue how it even runs. It backfires all the time, and everybody thinks it's a gunshot. But the start of the movie is very serious. Is his brother in a whole nother town? Their family, they have like I think somebody is sick in their family, and they need to go and visit. And they need to go out of town, and they're leaving the kids, and they need somebody to take care of their kids while they're gone. There's a great scene. They go through everybody in their phone book, everybody in their list.
Oh, no.
And they've tried everybody except Uncle Buck. Nobody can do it. They try Uncle Buck, and the wife is already not thrilled about it. She's like, I don't want your brother here. Does he even like kids? Oh, he's great with kids. And they bring in Uncle Buck to take care of these kids. And Macaulay Culkin is one of them. He's pre-Home Alone, and he's so good. And John Candy shows up, and he does everything unconventionally. He's making the kids breakfast, and it's the most unhealthy breakfast with fried everything. And there's a great scene where he makes a gigantic pancakes for the kids, and he's using a snow shovel to flip them. And it's such a great feel-good movie. It's one that'll make you laugh really hard. It's one of those comedies that I think is very special, and I want to see more of, because it's definitely comedy with heart. It's got a lot of really heartfelt moments where, John Candy's character Buck is really questioning, where he's at in his relationship with his, girlfriend, what he's like as a man, because a lot of his activities are pretty questionable. And I think having to be responsible for somebody like these kids, their lives, I think is sort of something that he wrestles with throughout the movie. And it's got so many levels to it. It really is a timeless
It's a classic, I think.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it a long time ago, but it's very, very funny and heartfelt, all combined.
Tell us about, this is the last one we're looking at. Tell us about you being influenced by the comedian Jim Varney, Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yes, Jim Varney was, one of my first comedy heroes. Those Ernest movies, man, Ernest Goes to Camp, Goes to Jail, Ernest Scared Stupid was a Halloween one, Ernest Saves Christmas. There was so many that were made, and that's another inspirational story with Jim Varney. He was a comedian out here with very little success. He moved away, but after moving away, he had been contacted by somebody he worked with on a commercial, and he played some small character in a commercial.
Yeah, what was it?
It was for milk or something.
Vern?
Yeah.
Know what I mean, Vern?
Yeah, know what I mean, Vern? Yeah.
He started making so many commercials. We'll never see this again. If you look it up, Ernest local ads, Jim Varney made hundreds of ads for a bunch of companies.
Small companies too, right? I remember watching. I think we watched this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does all these ads. It's so funny. Can you even picture seeing multiple ads by the same spokesperson? Ernest is endorsing like pancake mix, and he's endorsing a local laundromat and a drink. They are so much fun to watch, and he's dressed as Ernest, talking like Ernest, and he's looking at camera as if it's Vern.
Brilliant,
hey, Vern. And what was so much fun was I was reading about his first commercial, and it was for this local water park, and the water park wasn't finished yet, and they needed somebody to communicate to people how exciting this water park was without actually showing it. And Jim Varney does it so well, and it turned into them doing these Ernest movies, and Disney got a hold of it. Like, I think Ernest was so popular, he was a star just for his commercials.
Yeah.
Disney was like, we gotta make movies with
Bigger
this
than
guy.
life personality.
Bigger than life, and I loved it. I really loved it. He had such a great voice, great original character, and it was so much fun getting to watch him as a kid and seeing him just play on screen. And I love the dynamic of him talking to camera, and also just his physical comedy. There's so many funny stunts in there. They always figure out, it was like a living cartoon, essentially.
Yeah, well said, actually.
He was always falling off the ladder on
Yep.
the house, climbing to the top of the house,
Burn.
and falling off the ladder.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, Mark, if people want to follow your career, if they want to see you on social media, become one of your followers and see your upcoming projects, how would they go about doing that?
Okay, so I'd say start at YouTube. My channel is just called Mark Sipka, and you can come there and you can find weekly fun videos. There are sketches, impressions, music videos, all that stuff, all there on my channel. Sort of a home base is my website, marksipka.com. And I've been really enjoying posting videos each week on TikTok. A lot of short videos. It's just at Mark Sipka. And then you can also follow me on Instagram at Mark Sipka.
Oh, awesome.
So before we say goodbye, and once again, thank you so much. Can you give us another your favorite characters? I love these characters. Give us another one.
One of my favorite characters is I've already done my mom character, but one of my favorite characters is also he's sort of like an earnest character, but his name is Clem, and he sort of will always talk about what he's most excited for. And so like he always sort of takes things to the next level, never really takes a breath, never lets you really give a breath. And so ask me something like, hey, how was the game last night?
Hey, so how was that game last night?
Oh man, did you see that game? I'll tell you what, there was excitement from start to finish. The players were dribbling, and I was so excited that I was dribbling, and I needed to put a bib, and then I was bibbling, and I was dribbling and bibbling all over myself. I had cheese puffs all over my face, but I kept on wiping my brow. So by the time I was done, my face was orange. I looked like an Oompa Loompa. You ever seen one of them Oompa Loompas? Man, I tell you what, I could go for some of them goody gumdrops right now. Man, I love goody gumdrops. You know what I'm talking about? I could also go for one of them chocolate fountains. Remember Augustus Gloop? Man, that tubby boy got stuck up in that tunnel. Ooh-wee. I tell you what, they probably covered him in butter. Got him out of there.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Gosh.
That was hysterical.
Wait, that is so funny. Let's just show everybody one more time.
Yep.
This is Mark Sipka. This is his special, my
gotta
special,
check this out.
family special. You can rent it right here on Amazon Prime. You can also purchase it here on Amazon Prime. The people that you're seeing right here, that's his own family, and he's going to bring him up on stage. Those are his two brothers, his mom, his dad, and his sister-in-law. You can see right there. So rent this weekend if you just want to laugh. If you have a wonderful time. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
You made
today.
me laugh. I'm smiling. My face hurts.
Thank you both so much for having me. It's been so much fun getting to talk with both of you. You've been great, and this has just been a really fun time.
Yeah, back at you.
Oh, we had such a wonderful time. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for such awesome chat and asking great questions.